Greetings everyone. Welcome back to Storytime Recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the films from 2022, The Maze Runner. Before we start, I hope your day be filled with sunshine and smile. Enjoy the story. Thomas awakens in an elevator that is moving upward. Wicked marked supply containers are with him. A door above him opens as the elevator reaches the top, revealing a group of young men and boys reminiscent of the Lord of the Flies surrounding him. When Thomas realizes he's in a small glade encircled by enormous walls, he stops running. Thomas gets an explanation of the circumstances from the group's leader, Albie, and his consignee, Newt. The elevator returns to the surface once a month, bearing supplies and a new boy. They all refer to themselves as Gladers and reside in the glade. Their names return to them after a few days, but none of them can recall anything about their pasts or the reason they were sent there. Thomas is subdued by Gally, who also prevents him from attempting to enter the maze through a wall-mounted door. Thomas begins to develop a friendship with the child who arrived a month earlier. Among the group, he is among the youngest. Chuck is his name. Thomas has a celebration that evening. Every boy gets a different task. While some are runners, others are builders. Every day, a door in the enormous wall opens, and it closes at night. The glade is surrounded by a maze accessible through the door. Runners move through in search of an escape route. The grievers will get you if you spend the night trapped in the maze, and you will perish. The labyrinth is altered nightly. The Gally invites Thomas to try his hand at wrestling while she is tussling with another boy. After they fight, Thomas remembers his name when he strikes his head on the floor. Thomas is taken around by Albie to see additional sights. When they get there, the boys etch their names on the wall. They cross off the name upon death. In an attempt to blend in, Thomas is assigned to go dig up fertilizer from the nearby woods. While he is there, Ben, a runner who had been stung by a griever, attacks him. The other boy says while they fight, they refer to that boy's condition as the changing. It seems that getting stung will hurt a lot and make you more aggressive. They push the boy into the maze at night as the doors are closing because there is no treatment for it. The following day, Albie follows Ben's path through the maze to discover what transpired. Newt tells Thomas that the first boy into the glade was Albie. Nobody is aware of their purpose. It pours throughout the day. Albie has still not returned, and it's getting late now. The boys congregate near the maze's entrance. As the doors are about to close, Minho, the lead runner, arrives carrying an extremely injured Albie. The door closes behind Thomas as he dashes into the maze to assist them. To try to protect Albie's body from the grievers, Minho and Thomas hang it from vines. When Albie was in the maze, he got stung. A griever materializes and starts pursuing Thomas. The grievers resemble enormous bedbugs that have scorpion-like tails and robot legs. The walls of the maze shift as Thomas and the griever run around a little. At last, Thomas manages to entice the griever to move between two colliding walls and squish. Lifeless sorrow. Gally summons the Gladers to a meeting the following day. Thomas's killing of a griever has most people thrilled. However, there's another group, led by Gally, who believe that since Thomas arrived, things have changed, such as grievers attacking during the day, and that the rules they had in place were meant to keep everyone safe. And speaking of change, an elevator shows up. The boys dash outside to see what the elevator has delivered. There are no supplies inside, just a young girl, Thomas, she says as she looks up before collapsing. She's the last one ever, says the note she's holding. The girl's knowledge of Thomas's identity bothers him. He's afraid that since they removed the girl, the elevator hasn't descended again. Thomas and Minho go to the maze and they discover a strange device inside that reads the number 7 on an electronic display. Wicked is also marked on the device. It dawns on the boys that whoever supplies them also manufactured the grievers. Gally is upset with his indulgence. Gally is even more agitated when some of the boys return to the maze to examine the griever's corpse. Thomas should be punished, according to Gally, since non-runners are permitted inside the maze. According to Newt, Thomas can be imprisoned without food for the entire night and become a runner the following day. Thomas is shown a map of the maze by Minho. The maze is constantly changing, with new outer sections opening daily. Every external part has a number. Section 7 was open last night. The young lady is conscious. She's hurling objects at the boys below from the top of a tower. It's Thomas, he shouts up to her. She consents to allow him to speak. She will remember her name in a few days, he says, adding that her memory was erased. She claims that she can already recall her name. Teresa is here. She also recalls Thomas. He shares with her the dreams he's had about her and a woman telling him that Wicket is good. Teresa discovered two syringes in her pocket as well when she woke up. Thomas handles his imprisonment as a punishment that evening. Chuck pays him a visit and gives him some meals. In addition, he requests that Thomas give his parents a small carved statue that Chuck made. He's sure his parents remember him and miss him, even though he doesn't remember them. After returning the statue to Chuck, Thomas informs him that he can give it to his parents on his own. Thomas and Minho enter the maze the following morning with the gadget they obtained from the Griever. After a while, the device starts to click and leads them to a new area that Minho has never seen before. The fact that the maze appears to be open in all of its outermost sections worries Minho as well. When they reach a large area designated Wick Loading Dock, which leads to a dead end, the device changes from red to green, creating a new path. There appears to be a sewer tunnel accessible via that path. They return to the glade because the tunnel's edges contain the same slime secreted by the Grievers. Thomas chooses to inject Albie, who is still changing, with one of the syringes. In the end, it improves him. Thomas is informed by him when he awakens. You were their favorite. However, we never find out what he means because dozens of Grievers emerge from outside doors that start to open all over the maze. The Griever attack, which obliterates the majority of their village and kills many of the boys. Among the dead is Albie. Chuck gets seized by one of the Grievers, but he is saved. In the end, they chop off its tail. Following the attack, Thomas learns that the Griever sting's venom aids in memory retention. Therefore, he removes the tail and stings himself, which helps him remember a little bit more. Thomas recalls that the maze is a test rather than a prison. He notices that every other boy is in an incubator tube. Many of them are terrified. Like Teresa, he views himself as a scientist. Thomas is cured after the Gladers use the second syringe, and he tells everyone that he was partly to blame for everyone's presence. Enraged, Gally and his gang lash Thomas and Teresa to stakes outside the maze's entrance as a sacrifice. However, they release them since half of the group is still with Thomas. The Gladers are now split. Thomas tells Gally that he would rather perish in the glade attempting to flee than not try. Thomas leads a group through the labyrinth. Once they reach the loading dock area, Grievers attack them once more. They pass through the tunnel used for sewage, which ends at a locked door. To pass, they require a numerical code. They understand that the code has to match the order in which the maze would typically open. After Teresa enters it, everyone passes through a door. All the Grievers behind them are crushed by walls.
The children proceed down a few hallways. Before coming to an exit marked door, they pass through and find themselves inside Thomas's dreams and memories of the lab. The scientists are all gone. A video begins to play. The woman from before introduces herself as Ava Page and informs the children that although they are not aware of it, a phenomenon known as the flare caused widespread destruction. She was a member of the World Catastrophe Killzone Department WCKD, a contentious organization that thought it could monitor the children's brains and discover a cure. Through testing, as she is speaking, guerrilla soldiers from behind her charge in and begin murdering other scientists. She reassures them that Wicket is good and expresses her gratitude that they passed the first test.
A door opens to let the outside in. Gally arrives before anyone can depart. He is armed. They all belong in the glade, he claims. Chuck dodges the bullet as he tries to shoot Thomas. Gally receives a knife stab wound to the chest. Chuck gives Thomas the now bloody statue before passing away. A group of people who appear to be the guerrilla soldiers from the video barge in and drag the children outside to helicopters that are waiting. They appear to be in the desert at first, but when we drive away, it becomes clear that they are outside of a former city. Everything is covered in sand, and buildings are destroyed. Nobody questions why the helicopters didn't just land inside the glade and rescue the children there instead as they fly over the maze and the glade.
Paige is seen in the last shot wiping fake blood off her head and appears to be alive. The children, she claims, have fallen for the trick. More children made it out alive than she thought. Since the maze proved to be successful, phase 2 can now start as the helicopter takes off for the abandoned city.